the best way to contend with problems, with issues, with adversity is action, is by taking action. The more you sit and the more you wait and the more time you spend with that adversity, with the upper hand inside your head, the worse it's going to get. So for me, always taking action, making something happen. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be some mammoth, triumph that you're going to go and pursue. But if you say, hey, listen, this is what happened, didn't go the way we wanted it to. We're going to get our gear back on. We're going to go back out. We're going to do this other mission. And that's what I think. I think taking action, and it's in your personal life too. Something doesn't go the way you wanted it to go. You didn't get the job you wanted. You didn't get the hire. You didn't get the promotion. You can go home and sit there and dwell on it. That's not getting you any progress. Or you say, okay, you know what? Let me do a quick analysis. Why didn't I get that promotion? Oh, it's because I didn't get this qualification, or I hadn't jumped through this gate. Okay, cool. What do I need? Let me look into how do I get to jump through that gate so next time I will get the promotion, and you start taking action. So action for me is a cure for a lot of problems that we have in life. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't control what you're doing every day, or at least you don't control most of what you're doing, then it's not worth it. The reason people try and make money is so they can have more autonomy in their life. And so in the military, it becomes very clear, and it became very clear to me very quickly, that if I performed well, I actually got a lot more freedom with what I did. Even in boot camp, if you pass an inspection in boot camp, you don't have to redo your locker, or you don't have to make your bed again because you did it right the first time. And so you have an extra 15 minutes. And so for me, really, that's when I started to realize, oh, what I'm doing right now is going to impact not only what's going to happen to me in the next hour, but in the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And I think that's the biggest miss that we have when we're growing up. The way the actions that I take now are either going to positively impact my future, or they're going to negatively impact my future. And the more I focused on doing things that are going to positively impact my future, the better my life became. And I think that's a very huge lesson to learn that I know I didn't figure out for quite some time. Motivation isn't something that I am going to count on, because it's just an emotion that's going to come and go. And it's just like feeling happy. You feel happy right now. Maybe you won't feel happy in 15 minutes. You feel sad now. Maybe you won't feel sad in 15 minutes. You feel motivated right now. You might not feel motivated in 15 minutes. Therefore, I can't rely on it. So I'm not going to put any money on just being motivated, because it doesn't really matter to me. So the daily actions that I take aren't from motivation. They're just from discipline. So being able to take a step back, detach, and see the bigger picture, to me, is the true superpower of life. And it's a lot harder than it sounds. And this goes back to when you start talking about people that are going through struggles in life, right? And I've described this before as, if I'm looking at you and you're in a bad state, right? You're depressed, you're sad, you're moping around, you're not getting anything done. And I'm looking at you from the outside, and I'm thinking, for me, I see this storm cloud around your head, right? I see the storm cloud around your head, and you're in there. And all you see, no matter what direction you look, is storm. All you see is darkness. I'm outside and I'm looking, I'm like, hey man, this guy's got a great education. He's healthy. He's got a good team around him. Like, he's got all these things going for him. But you, in that state, you literally cannot see anything but the darkness of the storm. And that's what's so scary about when people enter that mode, is I can look at it from the outside and be like, Andrew, you just got to move like 4 feet forward and you're going to be through this thing. And yet you might hear me say that and you go, no, Jocko, I'm looking ahead. There's nothing but darkness. So helping people move forward, take action, and be able to get that perspective, detach, and get outside themselves, get outside their own heads. Tim Ferriss said, get out of your head, get into your body. That's one way to do it. Take action, go do things. But it's very scary. And I'm sure you've had this experience where you're talking to someone that you know, and they're bogged down in whatever problem it is, whatever stress they're under. And you're looking at them going, hey man, no, it's going to be okay. Like you can clearly see that whatever is bothering them and dragging them down, you can clearly see, a lot of times it's a relationship, right? The girl or the guy, they got dumped, and you go, hey man, that person was a disaster anyways. You're better off without him. And they cannot compute that. They are stuck there. Or maybe it's the school that they didn't get into or the job that they didn't get, and they get so wrapped up in that they can't get out of that storm. And it's such a helpless feeling to sit there and tell someone, hey, you just move a little bit towards me and you're gonna get out of this storm. And it's so much easier said than done. And that's why trying to engage with people and trying to give people that superpower of detachment where they can take a step back and say, you know what, you're right, man. That girl, she wasn't who I really thought she was. I should move on. Yes, but easier said than done. And that's one of the biggest challenges I think that we have as friends and in parents and teammates is helping people learn to detach, learn to see the bigger picture, learn to see that the problem that you have, that your whole world is actually not that big of a deal. When you're facing a significant problem in life, a relationship, a problem with a job, you got to remember that you're in one ecosystem. And if you step outside of that ecosystem, no one really cares. And you could go move into a whole totally different ecosystem and find happiness there. But at least utilize that to get out of that storm cloud that you're in. And you're going to find that there's plenty of light out there in the world. Move towards that, and it's going to be a much better situation. Understanding what's important and what's not. Looking at a problem and taking a step back and going, well, A, is this important or not? And B, is this solvable or is it not? And C, what's the ROI on getting it solved, and what's the effort it's going to take to get this problem solved, and how much is it really going to impact my world and my life if I focus on it? So knowing and understanding when something's important or not is a very good skill. And again, it's a skill that's directly related to detachment, because when you're in that relationship, this is another thing I've been telling people lately, the solution to your problem is not going to be found in the problem. It's not going to be found in there. You have to get out of the problem so that you can look at it, make an assessment, and you can assess how to solve the problem or whether you need to solve the problem or not. I mean, there's a lot of things in my life right now where I shrug my shoulders and go, okay, it's okay. Oh, someone's saying this. Okay, roger that. Like, carry on. No factor. Move on. And then occasionally you go, okay, this is something I need to contend with. This is something I need to deal with. This is something I need to shape or adjust or move or solve, to use your word. And the reason I laugh when I say that is because problems, you have to get in there. But if you take a step back, you can usually say, oh, little adjustment here, a little adjustment there, and that thing's going to sort itself out. So detachment is a superpower, man. You see this a lot. I mean, I get to see this a lot. We do events with companies, businesses, and we go off-site somewhere where they're detached. They're de facto detached from their day-to-day business. You pull someone out of their business for 2 days, and all of a sudden they start seeing the solutions. They never see them. It's a lot harder for them to see them when they're in the firefight. You get them out of the firefight. It's hard for them to see it when they're in that acquisition that they're doing. How are we going to merge these two cultures? This is going to be impossible. Boom, pull them out. All right, let's talk about the two cultures. And let's talk about what possible outcomes are. And all of a sudden, when you get them to take a step back, the solutions will appear. Somebody says something about me or to me that I don't like. What I realized years ago is like, the reason I don't like it is because there's some truth in what they're saying. And the best thing to do is to say, either to yourself if you're by yourself, or to them, is to say, yeah, you're right. I am kind of a knucklehead sometimes. Or you're right. I sometimes do jump to conclusions. Or yeah, you're right. I was completely wrong about that. And that is just so much more liberating and healthy than saying, you don't know what you're talking about, or no, I don't. It's just going into that defensive mode and trying to close your mind instead of opening your mind up to listen to what somebody else has to say and say, yeah, that's a good point. You're spot on with that one. Next question, next comment. Let's go. In order to improve yourself, you gotta impose some discipline on yourself, right? If you want to get stronger, you've got to do things that require strength. If you want to be tougher, you got to do things that require you to be tougher. I think that's pretty straightforward. I think that you're gonna, just like you would develop your legs by doing squats and you would develop your back by doing pull-ups, I think you would develop your resiliency by doing repetitions of things that require you to be tougher.